In this lesson, we'll learn about the two different kinds of text tools that are located in the toolbar. There are tools available on the toolbar. There's a layout text tool, and there's an art text tool. We're going to actually start by looking at the art text tool first. The art text tool is used basically for creating titles or large, significant pieces of text that you want to really stand out. And when you select on the art text tool, you simply click and drag, and the further you drag, the larger the text becomes. Okay, so you kind of get an idea of what size the text is going to be. And when you release your mouse, you're going to freeze it in place, and you can, from there, type in what it is that you want the text, or how you want the text to appear. Now, once you have your text in place, you can use the selection editor or the edit tool bar over on the right hand side. Remember, this is going to appear, let me move this down a little bit. You see the little pencil icon that appears anytime you have an object selected, and when I put my mouse over that pencil icon, I have a series of flyouts that are going to appear, and I kind of drill down or drill over into what it is I want to do. One of the things that's really truly unique about Adobe Roam. Now, let's take a look at one of the limitations of Adobe Roam. And particularly in the open source version, the number of fonts that are available are quite limited. There are 4. And I'm assuming this is because Adobe did not release this commercially. They decided not to license the fonts to include with the software. But you do have 4 nice ones here that you can use, and they can be edited and modified in a number of ways. So you can get quite a bit out of these 4 particular types of fonts. There is a serif font, which is the Gearman Pro. You have a sans serif font, which is Myriad. You have the monospace font, Courier Standard, and you have one script font. And so you've got some options in terms of styling with your fonts, and this is going to be true of both text tools. There are only 4 fonts available. I'm going to go ahead and switch to Myriad Pro, and once I have my text in place, I can change the size of the font using the font size here. I can change alignments, line spacing, very similar kind of things that you would typically see within an editor or any kind of text editor. Now again, it's a little bit different, the interface. In my case, I've got my font set with a yellow stroke or yellow outline, and I've got it set to 1 pixel in width. And you notice again what happens as I place my mouse over each of these flyouts. I'm going to get different options to appear. So let's say I want to go to a gray, and I want to change the size of my font upwards a little bit. I can do that. And if I want to do additional things such as applying filters, say let's say I want to add a drop shadow, I can do that quite easily by selecting on Filter, Add Filter, General, and Drop Shadow. And there we go. So even with the limitation on fonts, the kinds of things that you can do with the text tools in Adobe Roam are really pretty cool. I'm going to delete that off. The second kind of text tool that we've got is the layout text tool. And this is the one you're going to be using when you want to have readable text within the document that might take up more space. If you click and release your mouse, you'll get a single size text box. In most cases, you'll probably want to click and drag to bring out the text box to the size that you want it to be. Now you have the layout text tool editor selected when you see the ruler across the top of the box, and you see the little bounding boxes, those little dots that appear around the perimeter. Text that I've copied from one of the auto text generator services that are out there, and I'm going to paste that in place. Normally, again, you would be able to type in here, and you might want to copy and paste from Word. It doesn't really matter. There's no spell check within Adobe Roam, so you might want to use another program or have your students using another program and then copy and paste. But again, there is no formatting that will come with your copied text. You only have the 4 fonts to choose from. You can change once you're in place, but you can't really bring those over from another application. All right, so once I have my my text into my layout text box, you'll see I'm going to get a scroll bar if needed. If I preview this, the scroll bar will be functional. But there are some particular things that are quite interesting about Adobe Roam that you don't see in other programs. Say, for instance, I want to have another layout box of text, and I want my text to flow from one box to another. I can do that by selecting on the layout text box here and then dragging this little marker, yellow button, over to the other text box here. So now I no longer have I no longer see the scroll bar. I do instead see what I get when I have additional text over there. All right, I'm going to delete that out. There are other things that you can do, again, that are quite different. Remember, in order to work with individual text within the text box, you have to have the text editor activated. You know it's active when you see the ruler. So let's say, for instance, I want this first couple of words in my text paragraph here to have a little bit different formatting than others. I might decide, for instance, to change the size. Easy enough. Okay. Might want to give it a different color. Easy enough also. I also might want to spread it out a little bit. I have character spacing options that I can choose. So if I click and drag this little indicator here, it's going to give me wider spaces between my selected text. And I can also add links to selected text. I can go to a sheet over in my sheet listing. I can go to a particular URL, all right, or typically I might want to do nothing. Now, one of the things that's quite interesting about Roam is its ability to break these text boxes into columns. We already saw how you could flow from one document to another, but in addition to that, you can also take your text and you can divide it into different boxes. In other words, you can create multiple columns. So if I decide I want to have 3 columns instead of just the 1 column, I can do that by just selecting the option under the box layout. You also have some cool options here in terms of how you can wrap text. Small pieces of text can be wrapped into shapes, and you can be wrapped around selected objects within the document. So really quite sophisticated in the kinds of things that you can do with Adobe Roam Text Tool. In addition to all of that, if you go back to your selection tool and you see the dark bounding box dots appearing around the box of text, you can now rotate it just like you can any other object, or you can skew it like you can any other object within Roam. And of course, you can resize the text box, although what you're changing when you do that, just take note, is the amount of scrolling that would have to be done. The actual, unlike the Art Text tool, the text itself doesn't become larger, just the box containing it changes sizes when you do that. And of course, you can click and drag and move it to new locations. All right, so those are the 2 text tools that are available to you in Adobe Roam. You have the Layout Text tool, which is what's used when you want to have readable text upon the page, large amounts of it in smaller font sizes. And you have the Art Text tool, which is used for headings and significant chunks of text that you really want to have jump out.